So yesterday we discussed up to oligodendroglioma. Today we'll start with ependyoma. Okay, and different kinds of gliomas. Ependyoma, as the name suggests, comes from ependymal cells. Now, as such, ependymal cells are those cells that will, or specifically in case of ependyoma, it is a tumor that is developing from epithelium of your ventricles, epithelium that lines your ventricles. वहाँ से start होता. Now, if it is a child or if it is a young adult, generally this will come from the fourth ventricle. Okay, typically it is encountered in the fourth ventricle and it is more common to occur in children as well as young adults. Okay, 20s or such. Now this epithelium, because it lines ventricles, and it will also line the central canal of your spinal cord, it is very hard to remove this tumor. Okay, even though it is very well demarcated, you can clearly understand where the tumor is, but because of its location, it is very hard or almost impossible to remove it surgically, because it is very close to the structures of your medulla and pons. Okay, structures of your brainstem. What happens is, if by chance someone nicks those structures, it can lead to a lot of problems, brainstem and pons. So they generally do not perform surgery to remove ependyoma, even though it is clearly demarcated. And as such, this tumor itself, if you look into it, the pathological changes that occur inside the cell will be that, as such, it is very well demarcated, but it will be composed of very uniform epithelial cells that form rosettes. Okay, they will look like rose. They'll also be making perivascular pseudo rosettes. I'll show you how a rosette looks. One second. Hmm. See the third image from the left, the tumor cell will लिखा हुआ है ना, perivascular pseudo rosette. So around a central blood vessel, you will have tumor cells that are getting accumulated. You will have neutrophils in that area, and you will have tumor cells that are forming a rose-like structure. ठीक है, उसको pseudo rosette बोलते हैं. It is not a true rosette. Perivascular pseudo rosette बोलते हैं. ऐसा ऐसा भी आता ependyoma. All right. Then we have, so it is well demarcated tumor occurring typically in the fourth ventricle of children and young adults. Okay. Impossible to remove by surgery because of close association with pons and medulla. Alright, so that is about ependyoma. Then we have something called choroid plexus papilloma. Now, choroid plexus as such are basically a bunch of blood vessels. These are blood vessels that are present in your ventricles, and the cells of choroid plexus are responsible for the formation of CSF. Okay, that is the function of choroid plexus. Now, this tumor itself, papilloma, this is derived from the epithelium of your choroid, and it is generally very uncommon. Mostly occurs in children. अगर children में हो रहा, so it will occur in the lateral ventricles. If and when it occurs in adults, the fourth ventricle will be the main site. Okay, this is uncommon in children. It occurs in fourth ventricle, sorry, lateral ventricles. So the first and second ventricle. In adults, fourth ventricle is the main site. Okay. Now, as such, because it is a papillary kind of tumor, you will have rounded tumors. Okay, a round papillary mass that is projecting out and putting pressure on the surrounding structures. Now, the cells of the tumor will resemble normal choroid plexus. Okay, they will have a vascular connective tissue. They will have vascular connective tissue in its core. Everything will be normal. They will have a single layer of cuboidal epithelial cells. So but you will be able to see that it is a tumor. I'll show you how it looks. One second. If you can see, this is a choroid plexus papilloma that is occurring in the fourth ventricle. I'm zooming in so that you can see this green colored structure that you can see, that is the papilloma. All right, it'll start off small and it'll keep on increasing to the extent that it'll start putting pressure on the surrounding area. All right, तो ऐसा दिखता हो अगर कट सेक्शन देखे तो it'll look like this, right? Then we have the last tumor of your CNS called metastatic tumor. अब metastatic tumor क्या है? It is a tumor that is originating from some other location. ठीक है? This tumor will also act like primary tumors. Now, till this point, all the tumors that we have discussed, gliomas, meningiomas, different types of gliomas, all of those are primary CNS tumors or primary brain tumors, in the sense that the point of their origin is in the cranium. ठीक है? When we talk about metastatic tumor, it means that it is metastasizing from somewhere else and coming to the brain. All right. Most commonly, you will have metastatic tumors that are coming from carcinoma of the lung or breast or a melanoma, skin carcinoma basically, or it can be a carcinoma from the kidney. Sometimes GIT carcinoma can also come here. All right. So a common um, carcinoma may metastasize from carcinoma of lung, kidney, skin. This will be a melanoma. Okay. Breast. It can come from your GIT. Sometimes it can be a lymphoma, infiltrative lymphoma. Okay. Or it can also be a leukemia. Okay. Lymphoma or leukemia. Either way, rarely, but it does occur. So any of these tumor cells that are metastasizing from their original location to the brain, they will look like a primary tumor wherever it is occurring. अब समझो primary tumor, if someone is having a primary tumor in their what do you call frontal cortex, ठीक है, for example lateral frontal cortex, उसके जो effects रहते हैं वैसे ही effects रहते हैं if you have a metastatic tumor that is metastasizing from somewhere in the body. Let's suppose it is a lung cancer, lung carcinoma, whose tumor is flowing through the blood and it is coming all the way to your brain and proliferating there. Effects will be similar, but you will understand that it has metastasized because if you perform biopsy, you'll be able to see that the tumor cells have resemblance of the cells of their origin. मतलब अगर lung carcinoma है तो you will see alveolar cells in that tissue or the tumor that is present. All right. So with that, we have completed the tumors of your CNS. I hope you understood. If you have any doubts, please let me know. If you want me to repeat any type of tumor of CNS, we discussed meningioma, gliomas, astrocytoma, glioblastoma, multiforme, oligodendroglioma, ependyoma, and these. Okay. Now, coming to skeletal system. Now, before discussing skeletal system, I'll quickly review what is bone healing and how fracture healing occurs. Okay, so if you remember, we have discussed about fracture healing long ago, and I think in the first chapter it was there, right? I told you bone healing will generally occur either by primary union or secondary union. Primary union is somewhat uncommon because you will have to use compression clamps and all of that. So, you have to compress the bone, you have to approximate the bone closely, and you have to compress them together so that they might heal. Generally, that is not used or it is not common. Okay, secondary union of fractures is more common. Secondary union of fracture में क्या करते हैं आप? You will perform or it will occur in three different ways. There will initially be procallus formation, there will be osseous callus formation and remodeling. So procallus formation में क्या होता? Let's suppose this was the bone initially, ठीक है, and it got broken in such a way that ऐसा break है, clean break. ठीक है. Now what will happen is the nearby blood vessels first they will form a hematoma so that blood is not lost in the surrounding tissue. यहाँ पर you will have hematoma being formed. ठीक है. This hematoma will stop any bleeding from occurring from surrounding blood vessels into the surrounding tissue space. And obviously यहाँ पर because there is injury, inflammatory response will occur. You will have fibrin coming into the area, macrophages. You will have polymorphs coming in the area. Ultimately what happens is granulation tissue, because such a huge injury has occurred, granulation tissue will come because regeneration cannot occur, repair should occur. So repair mein granulation tissue will come and it will start slowly developing new cells. There will be proliferation of your mesenchymal cells, specifically from the periosteum and endosteum. So periosteum will be the outer thick layer, endosteum will be the inner layer of the bone. Okay, mesenchymal cells will come and they start proliferating. Ultimately what will happen is callus will be formed, a callus with a woven bone like structure. You will have cartilage there, you will have a woven bone there. This will occur within a few days. Okay, a few days after the fracture is occurring. As it goes on, what will happen is the inner layer of your periosteum, it has a very osteogenic potential in the sense that it will be able to lay down a lot of collagen. So you have collagen being laid down. So think of it like laying down cement. Okay, initially collagen is laid down in the osteoid matrix. Granulation tissue आया ना, उसका base लेके उसके ऊपर collagen डालते जाते, and ultimately what happens is that area will start undergoing calcification. Now that structure will be called a woven bone callus. So we had inflammatory cells come in, we had granulation tissue come in, mesenchymal cells were proliferating, then a callus was formed. That callus was composed of woven bone and cartilage. Okay, you had osteoblasts coming into the picture and they were started proliferating a lot, trying to make bone, a new bone, and periosteum became hyperactive, and at that time it started depositing a lot of collagen in this osteoid matrix in the inner layer where the callus is, and ultimately calcification starts occurring in the callus, wherein you will have something called a woven bone callus. Okay, ये stage को procallus formation बोलते हैं. So you have a procallus being formed. From here, your bone will go into a osseous callus formation. The calcification process keeps on continuing. It will form a scaffolding like structure. So in the sense that, think of it like this. ऐसा 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 scaffolding बनाने लगते हैं. ठीक है. Scaffolding is basically what you put in buildings. आप कभी building का construction देखे तो बाहर you will see a lot of wooden planks and wooden beams being erected so that people can stand on that and work on that. That is called a scaffolding. It will also help in giving structure to the building. Right? वैसा ही आपके bone को scaffolding बनने लगती. Now procallus itself will act as a scaffolding on which osseous callus is formed. So you will have lamellae being formed, lamellar bone being formed, layered bone being formed. Ultimately remodeling will occur. So once lamellar bone has formed, so the first process was procallus formation, second was osseous callus formation, then will be remodeling. You will remodel the bone in the sense that a lot of osteoblasts will start vertical coming and invading the area, trying to make new bone tissue, and osteoclasts. Please remember the difference. Osteoblasts are helping in making of the bone. Osteoclasts are helping in removal of bone tissue, or it will break down bone tissue. Okay, we have two types. Osteoblasts, these help in formation of the bone, whereas osteoclasts help in breakdown of the bone. ठीक है. Now यहाँ पर क्या होता, as the bone is going into the remodeling stage, osteoblasts will start laying down and osteoclast removal will occur. Ultimately it will completely end up remodeling the bone, wherein you will not be able to find any difference between a normal bone and this bone. Obviously this bone will be slightly weaker and it will take years together for complete remodeling and complete strengthening to occur. If any one of you have ever had a fracture, especially to one of your main bones, you will know that it will take a long period of time, and even after a long time let's suppose a year or two, it will not be completely as good as new, but after a couple of years, let's suppose 4 5 years, 6 years, maybe 10 years as well, then you can confidently tell that it has become strong enough to bear the same weight as the original bone used to. Okay. So now, depending on the injury, it will differ. If it was a completely clean wound, like complete shattering of the bone, it will take a longer period of time. If it was only a hairline fracture kind of thing, then shorter period of time. All right. So that is about bone healing. Just a recap about bone healing. Now coming to the pathological problems in bones. First one we'll discuss is osteoporosis. It's also called osteopenia. Okay. Osteoporosis or osteopenia is a condition in which there is literally reduction in the quantity of the bone. Your bones are becoming porous. The patient's bone are becoming porous. As a result, what will happen is the skeleton altogether will become very very fragile, and the risk of fractures will increase much more. Even if they fall down with, you know, like not from a very great height, just they slip and fall down, they might have a increased risk of fractures. And the bones will become so fragile that they will not be able to bear normal impact as well. Now as such, sometimes what will happen is consequently there'll be a lot of pain in the skeletal system, and there sometimes will be deformity of the bone. Bones will deformed and the shapes will get distorted. Okay. This is more common in elderly and postmenopausal women. The reason is that elderly may, now as I told you, we have both osteoblasts and osteoclasts, right? So I'll just abbreviate them as OB and OC. Okay. We have osteoblasts which are helping in formation of bone, and osteoclasts which are removing bone or breaking bone down. Now normally both of them are present as what do you call, as someone ages, there is a process where bones will get remodeled. Okay. As you keep on aging, what will happen is older what do you call older bone tissue will be removed. Okay. And a newer bone tissue will be formed, in the sense that both of these are active during your in a healthy individual, in the sense that osteoclasts will be present and they'll be slowly chipping away bone. At the same time, osteoblasts will be forming new bone. Okay. Think of it like shedding, wherein old epithelium is removed and new epithelium is formed. The same way, old bone tissue is removed and new bone tissue is formed. So you remove periosteum and you make a new periosteum. Okay, you remove old periosteum and you make new endosteum, and the whole bone itself gets remodeled. Somewhere within once every 10 years in an adult, a complete bone will get remodeled. Okay. This is without fracture, I'm telling. Now in old people, what happens is generally you will see that their osteoblastic potential or the function of their osteoblasts will significantly decrease, while their function of the osteoblast will not change altogether. यहाँ पर क्या हो रहा, osteoblast which is helping in formation of bone, their function is decreasing, whereas the osteoclasts, whose function is to remove bone, to break down bone, their function is remaining unchanged. So what will happen is the potential for breakdown will increase. You're breaking it down, but you're not making it up at the same rate, because this is happening in older people. ठीक है, senile osteoporosis बोलते हैं उसको. As people age, their what do you call, bones will start crumbling to a higher degree than they can regenerate. That is why you will see that older people, they will have generally, because of osteoporosis, what happens is bones which are mostly made up of soft tissue, spongy bones जिसको बोलते हैं, your cartilage, your scapulae, your this thing, discs, vertebral discs, and vertebrae altogether, they are softer bones. They are not exactly hard bones. They will shatter, and especially अगर vertebral bones shatter हो रहे, they will fuse together, and what will end up happening is the person will hunch down. That is why you will generally see that older people, their height is going down as they age. Especially if you see people who are like well into their 70s or 80s, उन लोगों के अंदर their height will significantly go down. That is because their vertebrae are breaking and they are shattering. Okay, their height will significantly go down because of that. That is one reason of osteoporosis. Then osteoporosis can also occur commonly in postmenopausal women. The reason is whenever estrogen is present, okay, Estrogen is a hormone that is helping in uh, bone integrity in a way. To put it in another way, it will decrease bone resorption. Bone resorption is a process in which देखो your bones are very good. Let's suppose this is a long bone. ठीक है? For example, let's suppose this is humerus. ठीक है? I hope you know who is humerus. ठीक है? अब humerus में we have two things that is going on. ठीक है? Normally whenever let's suppose this is your blood vessel. ठीक है? अब समझो ब्लड वेसल में सीरम कैल्शियम कम हो गया. ठीक है? लेट्स सपोज सीरम कैल्शियम, सीरम फॉस्फेट दैट इज डिक्रीजिंग. तो क्या करते हैं, योर पैराथायराइड हार्मोन गेट्स एक्टिवेटेड. ठीक है? पैराथायराइड हार्मोन विल रिलीज पैराथायराइड ग्लैंड विल रिलीज पैराथायराइड हार्मोन, एंड पैराथायराइड हार्मोन इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर बोन रिजॉर्प्शन. इसका मतलब क्या है? It will, your bones are literally reserves of calcium and phosphorus. So it will chip away a little bit of calcium and phosphorus from the bone, and that calcium and phosphorus is sent into the blood. This is happening in a condition where the patient's serum calcium level and serum potassium level, phosphate levels are going down. Okay? Whenever serum calcium levels and serum phosphate levels go down, meaning the calcium and phosphate levels in the blood, your body will start secreting parathyroid hormone. Okay? The parathyroid gland will get activated, it will secrete parathyroid hormone. This is responsible for a process called bone resorption. ठीक है? इसको resorption बोलते हैं. So what it will do is it will take away a little bit of calcium and phosphorus from the bones, because they are proper reserves of calcium and phosphorus, and it will send it into the bone. Okay? Now whenever your serum calcium levels and phosphate levels are stabilized and they increase than normal, the levels of serum calcium and serum phosphate increase. Okay? Let's suppose it is increasing. There is another hormone called calcitonin. Calcitonin is secreted by thyroid gland. Okay? Parafollicular cells of thyroid glands. So calcitonin will come into picture, and calcitonin will send this excessive serum calcium and phosphorus back into the bone. ठीक है? इसको क्या बोलते हैं, bone reabsorption भी बोलते हैं. ठीक है? Wherein you are reinforcing the bone back, you are making the bone stronger. Initially whenever serum calcium and phosphorus was low, your body was secreting PTH, parathyroid hormone, and they were substituting the calcium and phosphorus from the bone. Whenever there is increased amount of calcium and phosphorus in the blood, it will substitute that amount back into the bone. Okay? Excessive amount of calcium and phosphorus is thrown back into the bone using another hormone called calcitonin. Now estrogen जो है, whenever it is present, it has an effect of suppressing PTH. If PTH is suppressed, it will not let bone resorption occur, meaning bone health is maintained. Bones will be nice and strong. As a person, as a lady goes into menopausal stage, and after menopause, what happens is, because estrogen levels go down significantly, the inhibition to PTH will also decrease, because of which the extent of bone resorption increases. Okay, I'll repeat again. Whenever estrogen is present in a normal healthy lady, उनके अंदर that estrogen has a negative effect on PTH. It will stop bone resorption from occurring. The effect is that bones will be nice and strong. ठीक है? If bone resorption is not occurring, you are not removing calcium and phosphorus from the bone, it will be nice and strong. If a lady goes into menopause, or after, immediately after postmenopausal stage, anyway after postmenopausal stage, when estrogen is very low, let's suppose that lady is not taking any estrogen supplements, what happens is that this inhibition on PTH is removed. Because estrogen was initially inhibiting PTH to a certain degree, bone resorption was not occurring. Now that the estrogen has decreased, there is nothing to stop PTH. So the bone resorption will increase. The rate of bone resorption increases, and bones start becoming more brittle. They'll start becoming more weaker. Okay? This will also happen over age. So at one point of time, a lady, even in their during their life cycle, at one age the amount of estrogen will peak around 20s and 30s. Okay? That is the most fertile age for a lady, 20 to 30, somewhere between up to mid 30s. After that age, slowly their bones will start becoming brittle. That is because estrogen levels will start dipping down. at menopause it will significantly go down. Okay, that is when you will see significant weakening of the bones. That is why older women and older men, both of them are recommended to take calcium as a supplement. Take calcium and vitamin D as a supplement, especially in cases where you know that they have brittle bones or they have a skeletal system problem. वो लोगों के अंदर बोलते हैं. Now, if you see the pathogenesis of osteoporosis, there are two main types of osteoporosis, two main groups in which it is classified. It can be primary osteoporosis, okay, wherein there is no underlying disease, it is just that over age it is occurring, ठीक है, उसको primary osteoporosis बोलते हैं. या फिर secondary osteoporosis हो सकता. Secondary osteoporosis is when osteoporosis is attributed to some other condition, meaning osteoporosis is occurring because of some other problem. Now that problem can be immobilization in a sense that there is very low physical activity. If the person does not move around enough, you need to have certain amount of physical activity in your life every day to remain healthy. So that is immobilization. If the person is not having minimum amount of physical activity, वो एक. या फिर chronic anemia, acromegaly. Acromegaly is when pituitary gland has a problem and it is secreting excessive amount of growth hormone that can lead to osteoporosis. Or hepatic diseases, hyperparathyroidism, hypogonadism, thyrotoxicosis, ठीक है, या फिर starvation. Some drugs will also cause this. Some certain high doses of anticonvulsants and high doses of heparin, both of them can lead to osteoporosis. Okay, sometimes hypercortisonism as well. If you have low amount of if you have high amounts of cortisol, that can also lead to osteoporosis. So these are all secondary causes of osteoporosis. Okay, we'll start osteomyelitis tomorrow. I hope you understood what is osteoporosis and what is bone healing. Tomorrow we'll do osteomyelitis. It's basically infection of the bone. Okay.